The following program contains adult content and sexual themes. Viewer discretion is advised. And it contains murder. Lots and lots of murder.
You stinking bastard.
People tell me, hey, you're gonna go die and go to hell. At least I'm not alone.
Time for 911, where's your emergency?
Oh, this is Sandy. For 31 Rock, Black Plymouth Road.
What's the
Send the
problem?
police. Send the police.
Hey guys, don't be a hero, mate. And I said I'm not trying to be a hero, but the police are coming.
One in the chest, one in the head. Fired by Detective Sergeant Roger Rogerson.
I was branching out. That's when the cannibalism started, eating of the heart and the arm muscle.
I would have nailed Carl Williams' hands to a coffee table and just pulled it out of his backside. Carl Williams is a wobbly bottomed little cherub-faced little boy whose life would be.
I'd harm someone each time I'd kill someone. There'd be an enormous amount, especially at first, enormous amount of horror, guilt, remorse afterwards. But then that impulse to do it again would come back even stronger.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bloody Murder.
Howdy, I'm Barney Black.
And I'm Tara Saraban. We're a weekly true crime podcast focusing on some of the lesser known crime stories from Australia
And around the world.
What will you be covering this week, Barney?
Well, I'm going to do a spree killer from our hometown of Melbourne.
Ooh, Melbourne spree killers.
And
they're really cool about it.
They really are cool about
They
it.
wear
And
black and they vape.
well, he's yeah, exactly.
Me.
They've got really cool mustaches.
Oh, like you.
Well, no, I need mustache game work.
Oh my God, it looks good.
It doesn't curl up at the sides properly.
Mustache business that you have going on. It's like mustache dysmorphia. It's like some people get with their bodies. You have it with your freaking mustache, dude.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So what have you got for us, Tara?
I am talking about female serial killers.
Really?
Break
where?
the glass ceiling. From India.
Wow.
The Gavit sisters. And also their mum, because she liked to kill a child or two in her time as well.
Ugh. And of course you've got an Aussie as, I hope.
I always have an Aussie as, and this one is particularly grand. It involves explosions.
Awesome.
Pretty happy about it.
But before we start, what's been shaking in Taraland?
Well, 53 people got made redundant at my work, and along with that, most of my friends. And obviously, I can't talk about it unless I want to get made redundant too.
Didn't you talk about this last week? It's
No,
still bothering you.
I was going to talk about it last week, but
Oh,
it
right.
didn't end up happening.
Right.
Because it was one of those, those pre-cum intros, the ones that didn't quite make it all the way out.
Ugh.
Yeah, what the hell, man? Anyway, I'm going to talk about the fact that there are 14 children in the state of New South Wales in Australia who have the first name of swastika. And,
Really?
And that's okay.
That's legal?
Yes. You can't call your kid Lucifer, Majesty, Doctor Who or Christ, but you can call them swastika.
You can't call them Doctor Who.
Apparently Doctor Who is not something you can
Well, you
call
could probably
them.
call them Who, but you can't call someone Doctor because, you know.
Yeah, or Archbishop, President, Professor, Sir, Lady, Governor or Lord. But swastika is fine. Oh, you also can't call a kid Nutella. That's off the table.
Because it's a trademarked thing or something. What about Bum Nugget?
Bum Nugget is not on the list of things that you can't call
Can
a
I
child.
call you Bum Nugget?
No, but you could have another child and call it Bum Nugget.
I'd love to have another child.
I know, you want a baby
But
girl.
I want a girl. I don't know if Bum Nugget's the right name for a little girl.
It's probably not a great name for a little girl, no. Unless you wanted to just grow up feeling shit about you. She'd hate you forever.
Bum Nikita.
Bum Nikita. Well, see, that's classier.
It really is, isn't
And
it?
also, there wouldn't be a rule against it. So swastika is actually okay because it's a religious symbol in Hinduism. But I reckon there's some white trash people out there with neck tattoos. Bad ones, not good ones. Good ones are fine. And I reckon they've probably snuck baby swastika through there for neo-Nazi reasons. But we'll see.
I'm speechless.
What have you been up
It's
to?
bad for doing a podcast.
It's not a good thing. Let's move on. How about you, Barney? You got any interesting weekly
No,
stories?
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
Yeah, let's hear about your murder.
All right, cool. Well, murder. You know me. I'm into
murderers.
serial killers. That's my thing. Obscure serial killers. They really float my boat. So anyway, let's talk a bit about female serial killers.
Okay.
According to an article in Psychology Today, female serial killers only make up 15% of all serial killers. I'm telling you, the glass ceiling is real. They are also far less likely to torture their victims or have revolting, sexy fun with their corpses than their male counterparts. Sex and pleasure are likely to be much further down on the motivation list for female serial killers than men. Females tend to have a more pragmatic approach to killing people and usually kill for profit or power. One analysis of 86 female serial killers from the US found that the victims tended to be spouses, children, or the elderly.
Well, Australia's biggest female serial killer just killed lots of her babies.
Yeah, there's a lot of baby
4,
killing.
I think. She's been covered, if you want to look that up. I can't remember her name, though.
You just put in Australian baby killer and don't Google image that because
No.
I'm sure something bad would happen. The methods that female serial killers use for murder are usually low profile. Poisoning is actually the most preferred method. Other methods are shooting, which is used by 20%, suffocation, 16%, stabbing, 11%, and drowning, 5%.
And nagging.
Nagging, 99%. Women, so
Yeah.
naggy.
Secretary of Agriculture,
Yeah.
Agatha Christie.
I loved her books. So women usually commit killings in specific places, such as their home or a healthcare facility, or at
A
different
healthcare facility?
Well, yeah, there have been a lot of like black angel nurses
Oh, okay.
or whatever they call them. I don't know. Horrible
Right.
beasts would be a better
So
name.
I just thought they'd go to their podiatrist and...
start shooting.
Yeah.
Well, or poisoning.
Yeah.
I'm off to the podiatrist. Here's my bag of poison. Make sure I
Right.
have it with me.
Pilates.
Pilates poisoning. There's an idea for a podcast.
Well, that's the way to test the pop guard on our...
I know I'm supposed to turn to the side when I say P words, but I'm not going to remember that every
We have
time.
new pop guards.
We do, and they're awesome. Well, I guess the popping will be the proof of the pudding, won't it? Yeah, you reckon that'll do it if anything's
No, you
gonna?
didn't turn your head at all then.
I did turn my head slightly, you perfumed ponce. How was that? Not enough head turn?
Perfect.
Anyway, when women kill with like male partners, things get a bit more hectic and
Sometimes
sexy.
they're led, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, but also Rosemary West, Fred and Rosemary West. Like she apparently did some crazy, horrible torture
Yeah.
stuff. So that does still happen. But when they're killing alone, there's far less of that sexy fun time murder. Aileen Wuornos is arguably the world's most famous female serial killer. She shot and killed 7 men in 1989 to 1990. She was working as a truck stop hooker at the time and killed her Johns and robbed them.
She's in our closing theme.
Yeah. When she
So-
talks about them, like they had electricity in her brain since 1986 or something
Yeah,
like that.
so don't turn off. The closing theme has some great samples of Eileen.
It really does. Aileen, thank
Aileen.
you very much. Get her name right.
Come on, Eileen.
Anyway, so she killed her Johns and she was a truck stop hooker, which I find a bit of a refreshing twist on the male serial killers killing sex workers genre.
Yeah.
Someone had to
Payback
do
is
it.
the best payback.
So it really fucking shits me when people compare Aileen Wuornos to Ted Bundy and say that they're equally evil. Ted killed over 30 women and he was brutal and rapey and he was into torture. He'd actually torture women to the point of near death, then revive them and do it all over again.
He's nasty.
Tell me that's on par with being shot.
That
I mean,
guy-
come on. If you had to pick Ted or Aileen, I'm Team Aileen. Just fucking shoot
absolutely.
me.
That guy you were talking about last week, what was his name?
The internet slave master,
Yeah.
John Edward Robinson.
Yeah, he was nasty.
Yeah, he was. Why did you bring that up for?
I don't know.
Well, it's really sexy. Maybe that's what got you thinking. Anyway, the most prolific female serial killer in history. Do you know who that would be? It's Ye Olde.
Yeah, I have read about her. Catherine something? Was that close?
No. She's a Hungarian countess called Elizabeth Bathory, who was born on August 7th, 1560, and died August 21st, 1614.
The Reformation. Nice.
After her husband's death, she and 4 collaborators were accused of torturing and killing hundreds of girls and young women, with one witness attributing over 600 victims to them, although they were only convicted of 80 murders. Just 80.
It was quite a classist murder from memory too. She used to kill their maids, and
Well,
she was very wealthy.
She was a countess, and I guess she just killed the people under her. But yeah, they only got done for 80, just 80.
Yeah,
Only
I
80
guess it's that
murders.
thing, vulnerable people, when you're in a position of power.
There are actually killers who've focused
On their peers? No.
to
They-
some degree. I mean, I've seen some. I need to get back to you on that though.
No.
Anyway, Elizabeth was neither tried nor convicted. But in not 18 nothing. She was way dead by then. In 1610, she was imprisoned in a castle, and they bricked her up into a set of rooms, and she actually died there in 1614.
Elephant and Castle. Stick it in your arsehole.
What's that from? Is that Mr. Jolly Lives Next Door?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Just in case people wonder if Barney is completely insane, the answer
I
is
might have
yes.
had a stroke.
Anyway, this brings me to the Gavit sisters and their delightful mother.
All right, let's hear about them.
So I'll give you a bit of background on India too, because I'm sure not everyone's a total India scholar. India is the 7th largest country in the world, and it's also the second most populated country after China, with a population of around 1.2 billion people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's so many people. Australia is the 6th largest country, and we have 24 million people here, so we're very lucky. I don't like crowds.
Half of them are called Bruce.
Yes, and the other half are called Shane, and none of them are women. So poverty is rife in India. There's over 20% of the population, which is in this case 270 million people. They're living in extreme poverty. This is part of why I don't understand. Like, white hippie spiritual people that I know love going to India and being like, India's such a great and spiritual place.
Well, actually, I've had the opposite reaction from people I've known that have gone to India. They've said, oh, the poverty was just excruciatingly horrible to see.
Absolutely, but you didn't grow up in northern New South Wales near Byron Bay, so you probably know less hippies than I do. But yeah, I don't really understand how you can find something to be so beautiful and spiritual when there's just so much poverty and ill health. But,
Yeah.
you know, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Anyway, let's get into it. Ajani Bay Gavit lived in Pune, India, where 40% of the population live in slums. She was kind of different to your average cliched Indian housewife in that she had quite a penchant for petty theft and had over 125 cases lodged against her, mostly for picking pockets and snatching gold chains from around people's necks in crowded public places. And Jana Bay's first husband was a truck driver who left her soon after her daughter Ranika Shind was born. She married again to a soldier named Mohan Gavit and had another daughter, Seema Mohan Gavit. Sick of the constant scrutiny from law enforcement throughout their marriage, Mohan abandoned the family and shacked up with another woman, eventually marrying and having kids with her.
So you're stealing too much shit. I'm out of here.
Yeah, look, the cops keep coming around and I keep having to answer the door and they keep like pressuring me about stuff and I'm kind of over it. Yeah, bitch.
That's fair.
Yes, that was actually a documentary of the Gavit sisters. That was just a clip from it. Clearly.
I'd like to see a musical.
A Bollywood musical. Lots of colour and movement. Anyway, the Gavit sisters were trained in the family business from an early age, and when Renuka married her husband, Karan Shind, he joined their merry band of petty thefts. So mum, 2 daughters, and the husband. Full of rage at her ex-husband over being abandoned and his new wife for stealing him away from her, and Janabe came up with a heinous plan.
Oh, a heinous plan.
I guess she was all like, I'm the freaking thief around here. If anyone's going to steal anything from anyone, it's going to be me. Don't steal my husband. Yeah?
Yeah.
Sound fair?
That sounds solid, yeah.
In 1990, she and her daughters, who were then aged 19 and 23, kidnapped Mohan's young daughter Kranti, who was also Seema's half-sister, and they held her for a while and beat on her before killing her.
Ugh.
Yeah, this is when the killing started, at least on paper. Vidya Kulkarni, the women's neighbour and the prime witness for the prosecution, said, "My apartment window opened onto theirs. I could see them beating up Kranti every day. I had many things to tell."
Well, she could have done something about it. How about that?
Yeah, actually there's an idea.
Stop beating your kid.
Well, you know,
I'll go to
stop
the
beating
cops.
your husband's new kid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
1990 was also the year that the women realised how much of a cover and distraction having a child with them when stealing was. The women favoured locations like temples, railway stations, fairs, markets and bus stops to do their pickpocketing. These places were always very busy and heavily populated, which made it easier to escape if people cottoned on to what they were doing. Renuka was caught pickpocketing at the Chattasinghi temple in Pune, and she happened to have her young son with her. So she used the crowd's perception of what type of woman a mother is to convince them that it was all a misunderstanding, and she, as a caring, nurturing woman, would never do such a thing. After this ploy worked so well, the women began kidnapping children, aged between 7 months and 4 years.
Couldn't I just use the same kid over and over again?
Well, the thing is, the kids ran out of their...
They grow up too fast, don't
Well, and also some of them don't just go along with the plan properly because they're toddlers. They're not really going to get on board with your grand scheme.
Yeah.
Toddlers, not very good at heists.
Yeah, they just keep wanting to watch the Wiggles and shit.
Yeah, they just want to watch that same Disney movie over and over. Frozen.
Yeah.
They just want to watch Frozen.
Oh.
So...
Probably would have been a Lion King or something then.
Yeah, like early 90s. I'm not sure of when any of that happened.
The Little Mermaid?
I'd say the Lion King's probably more popular. I don't know. You're the one with kids.
Naked Lunch.
The Naked Lunch. Yes, children really enjoy the tripping scenes in that. They find them to be educational. Anyway, over a 6-year period... Barton Fink. Yeah, they really enjoy Coen Brothers films, children generally, especially Indian children. I'm glad you brought that up, Barney. I meant to write that down, but I forgot. So over a 6-year period, more than a dozen children were snatched. Some were let go, some were maimed, and others murdered.
Some were maimed?
Yeah, maimed, like messed up, like physically fucked up.
Oh, not like, they kneecapped them or something.
No, they didn't like kneecap them as such. But
so they couldn't run away.
They did some pretty bad shit, though. I'll get there.
Okay.
Oh, I'll get there. Some of the other children were murdered when they were no longer useful. Sometimes they also held them for ransom and let them go if the ransom was paid. As most of the children they snatched came from poor families, though, this wasn't usually how the child saga panned out. It's believed many parents of the stolen children tried to get the police involved, but were turned away or not believed. Nice one, cops. A Nashik-based journalist said, the mother would instruct the sisters to move in a pair inside crowded places, especially during festivals. They would then kidnap a child and use it as a shield. While one would remain with the child, the other would escape from the scene. If anyone cast a doubt, she would claim to be innocent since she was carrying a child.
I can see them with their arms outstretched, holding it forward, this is my kid.
I'm thinking that they'd more be holding it like human shield style, as though it was across their chests.
Maybe they wore them like hats.
They might have worn them like hats. That happens all the time.
What, you've never
India.
worn a child as a hat?
Not a live child.
I think you should just keep reading.
I would like to. Do you think that's going to happen?
Come on.
Anyway.
Take that child off your head and keep reading.
It's not alive. So they would kidnap children from Nashik, Mumbai, Kolhapur and Pune. The child would be kept in their Pune residence, and they would be eliminated if they didn't get the ransom. By their own admission, they killed 9 kids, says the journalist. The second child they kidnapped was little Santosh. He was a 1-year-old son of a beggar woman. One of the sisters was caught pickpocketing, so the other woman carrying the toddler forcefully threw him to the ground.
Oh, little Santosh.
Crying loudly in pain
That's
from
awful.
the impact, the child created a commotion to distract the crowd, while the one who was caught in the act made their getaway.
Well, that's like throwing children at spiders, kind of.
Yeah, there was an episode where we were talking about how my place is a home for wayward spiders and suggesting killing methods, and you did say that we should throw a child at it.
Oh, I couldn't throw my kids at spiders. They hate them even more than I do.
They'd bounce off them and then probably hit you. Anyway, Santosh was hurt when he was hurled to the floor. Denied medication, the baby's wounds festered and he was crying uncontrollably. Anjana Bey shut him up by bashing his head repeatedly against an iron pole until he died, says an investigating officer.
That's awful.
The sisters were snacking while their mother did this, and it didn't put them off their Vadapav. Santosh's
Vadapav?
Vadapav. Yeah, it's like a vegetarian sort of thing wrapped in pastry.
Can I have one of those?
You don't like vegetables.
I do
much.
like vegetables. Like
you
pakoras,
like pastry.
Deep fried vegetables. They're really
Oh,
yummy.
they're deep fried, definitely.
Yum.
Would you like to eat one of those while your mother kills a child? Is that
Well-
your birthday's coming up, and I do need to think of some cool ideas.
All right. Sounds
Yeah.
like a party.
All right, May 12th. We're going to have it going on. Anyway, Santosh's lifeless body was thrown under an auto rickshaw in an effort to make it look like an accident. 2-year-old Naresh was starved and beaten to death because he wouldn't play along with their scam in the way they wanted, and he'd cry too much for his mother. 3-year-old Pankaj made an even
Tighten
bigger
up, kid.
mistake. Yeah, I mean, you're 2. You should really have this under control.
Harden up.
So 3-year-old Pankaj made an even bigger mistake. While being used as a decoy by the women, he would talk to passers-by about his parents and how he wanted to go back and live with them.
No.
So he was hung upside down from the ceiling and had his head slammed against a wall until he died.
I don't like this story.
Well, it's not very nice, is it?
No.
Also, you're the one that normally talks about the children being killed.
Well, I don't know why. I'm
I know, it's
the
not
parent
nice.
here.
I think it's just like an obsession, because you don't want it to happen. So they chopped up the body of 18-month-old Bhavna and stuffed it into a gunny bag for disposal.
What's a gunny bag?
I think it's just like a large tote bag.
A Kindersarg?
A Kindersarg. No, that's a suitcase. But
Oh,
yes,
right.
it was in fact a Kindersarg, which, if you listen to episode 10, was German for child's coffin.
Right.
Yeah, there will be a quiz at the end of the episode, so I hope everybody's taking notes. So the gang carried the bag with them and watched a movie at Alka Talkies in Kolhapur and ate snacks while the bag lay between their feet.
Yeah.
What movie do you reckon they saw? I'm thinking Days of Thunder.
Oh, what year was it?
It was early 90s.
Pretty Woman?
Pretty
maybe?
Woman. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
That sounds appropriate.
What about...
One of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies.
Oh, yeah.
They were pretty big at that time.
They were, and probably not very interesting. Clueless. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I was actually thinking when I was writing this that it was a Bridget Jones's Diary movie because that just made sense to me. But I don't think they were out then. Anyway, they later disposed of the body in the toilet of the cinema.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm. The women's spitefulness and need for revenge on Janabey's ex-husband and Seema's dad Mohan is what eventually led to their demise.
Well, I'm glad that's coming.
Yeah, you want that to come, don't you? The sisters were caught when they visited Mohan to kidnap his other daughter, his younger one, in October 1996. Remember, they killed his first one. His second wife had filed a complaint against them and their mother when her elder daughter Kranti went missing. While questioning the women about Kranti's disappearance, the police unearthed evidence that revealed several murders, and the case was handed over to the Crime Investigation Department. Shut these girls down, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
The investigating team honed in on Renuka's husband, Kiran Shind, who struck up a deal to turn a prover and gave all the details of the murders to the police in return for them dropping all charges against him.
What's a prover? That's like a
witness
rat,
for the prosecution.
An informant.
Yeah, informant.
Yeah, right.
They call it a prover in India.
Oh, cool. I like it.
I approve of you liking a prover. The women denied all the charges and insisted that they were falsely implicated.
Oh, of course.
We're women. We're mothers. We couldn't. We wouldn't. We were just trying to watch Days of Thunder. They were witnessed to be unusually sharp, with an uncanny ability to identify plainclothes officers during the hearing. The sister's mother and Janabey died during trial. Oh, would you like a tissue, Barney?
Yeah, no, but not because of that.
Oh,
No,
I
I've
don't
got
want to
I've
know
got-
what
no,
you would need
no,
that
it's-
for.
no, it's
Are
not-
you having a bit of a...
I've got some food on me.
I
I was eating a chili dog earlier.
you-
And
Oh, you just don't. Just don't. Or do. Actually, you know
No, I'm
what?
not doing
just
that.
do it. Just go with it. Just
that's Barney's private time. I don't want to talk about that.
Really? We shouldn't talk about that for the whole rest of the
No.
show? Because I'm thinking it could be an idea even. Anyway, I couldn't find any details on the cause of her death, but I'm hoping that she was hung upside down from the ceiling and had her head slammed against the wall till she died.
That does sound fitting.
Don't you think
It
that
really
would be
does.
fair? So the Gavit sisters were accused of kidnapping 13 children under 5 between 1990 and 1996 and killing 9 of them, but only 5 of the murders could be proved. The trial began in September 1998 and lasted 3 years. The judge awarded the death penalty to Renuka and Seema in a thrilled, crowded courtroom. Well, the courtroom wasn't thrilled. The crowd were thrilled.
The death penalty in India, it doesn't get handed out. Well, not to women, does it?
Okay, look, it can be handed out to women, but it's never actually been enforced on a woman.
What, ever?
Ever. No.
Really?
Mm-hmm. In recorded history, who
Sure.
knows what goes on behind the scenes, but no, it's not something that's ever happened before. The bench said that the sisters had not been committing crimes under compulsion, but took it very casually and killed all these children, least bothering about their life or the agony of their parents. We do not think that these appellants are likely to reform and will remain a menace to society. The inhabitants of the locality in which the two were living were so horrified that they could not send their children to school for the fear that they would be kidnapped or killed, it further noted. The bench also vacated the stay it had granted against the execution of both. When their appeal had been admitted and directed, the authorities concerned to make all arrangements for the execution of the penalty. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Basically, that's a shitty sentence, Tara. Nice one. Must have written that late last night. Basically, they're going to do it. The sisters are now housed in Yawada jail in Pune, and even today, jail officials reveal that they insist that they're innocent. Every time the jail superintendent visits, they want to know about the status of their mercy petition, because they deserve mercy, right?
No, they don't.
In their mind, there's no doubt about their sentence being commuted, said a jail official. After the Supreme Court verdict, the sisters were separated and Renuka was sent to Nagpur jail. Advocate Swati Sarode, who worked with Renuka, recalls an irate woman quick to getting angry if she felt her work was not being done. She wanted to be with her sister and would often go on hunger strikes. She was very disturbed at the separation. She also wanted to have her children have access to her bank accounts, but they were sealed.
I went on a hunger strike last night.
That doesn't sound...
And then I had breakfast.
Right, because you were asleep during that?
Yeah.
That's not a hunger strike, Barney. That's being asleep.
I didn't get up and have a snack.
Do you normally get up and have a snack?
Sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what? What do you eat in the middle of the... What's an appropriate snack to have in the middle of the night?
Toast.
Right, God. I just couldn't be bothered doing that.
Oh.
Well, you've got a carb load so that you've got lots of energy to dream.
That's right.
Anyway, this woman who was an advocate for the court feels that she was really confounded by Renuka's love for her children when she'd so callously killed so many other people's kids. On August 31st, 2006, the Supreme Court confirmed the death sentence on Seema and her sister Renuka for killing 5 children. Special Public Prosecutor, who sought the death penalty for them, said, "We limited the period of killing to 6 years. However, this has been going on for longer than that. The women could not remember how many children they had killed. I don't know. We killed some. We don't know how many. We just however many."
You know when we get those little hot dogs on special occasions?
Oh, God, those gross little hot dogs that make me feel gross for eating them.
I sometimes forget how many of those I eat.
I can tell you eat like double figures every time, and I don't know how.
It makes me feel a bit ill afterwards. But
yes,
hey, I
gross.
don't kill children.
No, you don't. You just eat whatever the hell's in those gross little coffins. They're little Kindersags, Tiny little red
Really?
Kindersags. Anyway, women have been sentenced to death before in India, as we discussed. The Gavit sisters have exhausted all court appeals against the death sentence and had a plea for mercy rejected by the Indian president. They have a president and a prime minister. The president said
yes.
no. So anyway, they're all set to become the first women hanged in India, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer pair of girls.
So that's going to happen soon. This happened in the mid to late 90s.
Yeah,
that's
they've
probably
been
going to
waiting
happen
a while.
soon. They've been waiting a while. Being in death row for 10 years, I guess, is not unusual.
No. Apparently they've complained about how much hardship that's caused them, and I just cried so much that I ran out of moisture.
Yeah, I think an Indian jail would be pretty brutal.
Well, they're really annoyed because there was this other woman on death row who did some bombings, and she gets hot water and they don't, so they're really pissy about that. Sucks to be them. Maybe don't kill kids. Although their mum, they're raised by this mum, she was pretty much you have to do this. So they were probably jaded by growing up in her shade,
Yeah, there's ever a reason for the capital punishment. This is probably it. Though I'd prefer they'd stayed in jail and rotted there for the rest of their lives.
No hot water for you girls.
No hot water.
That'll show you.
It's hardship. I mean, death is, it's quick and it's instant.
Yeah, but people are terrified of it though. They're absolutely terrified.
It doesn't seem to help though. It doesn't work as a deterrent.
No, not really. I think a lot of people just imagine that they're never going to get caught, and if they did, it wouldn't happen to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, and also it's mostly poor people and people of colour that get the death penalty in Western countries.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's certainly not a perfect system, but we do like to think that horrible people that we talk about might not be having fun later for killing people. So that's the thing.
I like bad people to get a comeuppance, but I think executing them is not the way forward. But that's just my opinion.
Well, who knows? Maybe there's like tons of bad ladies in India who are just like, well, we never get the death penalty, so going for gold, and maybe that would deter them. I have no idea. Let's talk about this longer.
Would you like to hear about Frank Vitovic?
I would love to hear about old Frankie.
Okay. This is a Melbourne thing that happened in 1987. Okay. 8th of December, 1987. Frank, 22, wrote in his diary, "Today I feel funny. I've got too much inside me. Today it must all come out."
Ah,
Today,
so he was constipated.
something like that.
Oh.
Today I must do it. There's no other way out. I've got to see it through. Goodbye all. Today is going to be the day. The anger in my head has got too much for me. I've got to get rid of my violent impulses. The time has come to die. There is no other way out.
So that kind of sounds like he's just going to top himself. But I'm guessing that if that was how the story went, you wouldn't have been bringing it up.
No. After that, he packed a large maroon bag with all the things he thought he would need for this task.
A packet of Uno cards.
A pair of binoculars, a knife and a sheath, a pair of spectacles in a case, over 200 rounds of 30 caliber cartridges, a packet of diaries,
cigarettes,
fags, probably Alpine.
Really? You think he's a menthol smoker?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, wow. You must hate this guy.
I really do.
Yeah.
A change of clothes, and finally his US-made gun. Earlier, he'd sawn the barrel and buttstock off his rifle.
Buttstock?
I'll saw your buttstock.
Yeah, well, good luck finding it.
Reducing its overall length to 57 centimetres.
Okay, so did he bring a snack? Because what if he gets hangry?
Yeah, we don't want to get hangry. Which is 22 inches for you people that haven't taken up the metric system.
That's probably most people listening.
I like how in Star Trek the metric system is used, like kilometres and metres, because it's like the future.
Is that the way of the future? Well, we're in Australia. We're in the future.
Well, we are 10 hours ahead.
Uh-huh.
That's true.
See? Look at what we're doing with all that time.
It was just after lunch, and he put on a bulky, bone-coloured jacket, slung the bag over his shoulder, and left his weatherboard home in May Street, West Preston, which is in Melbourne. He jumped on a number 4 tram, and he bought a ticket, which cost him $1.30.
Whoa, that's cheap.
I know. That was those yellow ones where the
I
conductors
wasn't
used
here
to
then.
punch them.
I've seen them, but I wasn't here then. Wow, you'd think someone who was living in a time of such cheap tram tickets wouldn't be so unhappy. But
Say that again.
Cheap tram tickets.
Wow.
You like that?
I really do.
Hey.
He decided he would not die alone.
See, that's always the problem, isn't it?
Do you want some background on Frank?
I want more diary entries.
Don't worry, you'll get some more diary entries.
So what did you just find, his personal diary? How's that all working out?
I did.
Oh, good.
Frank was born on September 7, 1965. He had a Croatian father and an Italian mother. He grew up in the Melbourne suburb of West Preston. He attended Redden Catholic College, also in West Preston. He grew up with a love of sport and became a champion tennis player.
Tennis? That's like table tennis, but bigger.
Yeah, that's right. It's on a much bigger scale. A neighbourhood friend of his family said that Frank was an excellent student, was friendly and helpful, over 6 feet tall, and very good looking.
Well, he sounds all right to me at this point.
Well, look up his photos. I disagree.
Oh, that's like when they say that Ted Bundy was good looking, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Gross.
Yeah, his eyebrows are like kissing each other.
Seriously, yeah. And, gross. Just everything about him.
Though by 1983, when Frank was 18, cracks were beginning to show. It is reported that police grilled Frank after he was caught looking up women's dresses while lying on a floor at Northlands.
He was lying on the floor of a massive shopping centre.
Yeah, Northlands is like a mall in Preston. It's still there.
Is that the one no, that's High Point, the one we call Knife Point.
Yeah, that's right.
But so he's lying on the ground. That would attract attention. Also, which women are stepping over him when he's lying on the ground? I mean, how's that work?
Could I just step over your head while you've got your eyes open?
Yeah, don't look at my panties.
In 1984, his promising tennis career was cut short due to a knee injury.
Oh, get me knee, no.
After that, Frank became depressed, embittered, and paranoid.
Everybody's talking about my knee, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. He tried to get an operation to fix it, but it didn't work.
Sometimes those operations just actually make things worse.
Yeah. And this is when he had a falling out with his tennis partner, Con Magalis.
All right.
More on Con later.
Uh-oh.
A former secretary of the club where Frank had played tennis said he often threw uncaught tantrums and did not easily accept losses.
Yeah, but this is the 80s, right? So you'd think that John McEnroe, he was probably really successful in that era. So that you probably think that's what you do,
that's
man.
a bit of showmanship,
you
man.
swear and you break rackets and you get
Exactly.
mad at the umpire.
He won a singles championship in his first year at the club, but he left the next year after he lost the title.
Oh.
So in 1984, he starts his law degree at Melbourne Uni. But by 1987, he had deferred because of poor grades.
Uh-oh. He should have applied himself better.
Well, on the 17th of September 1987, Frank obtains a shooting license.
Uh-oh.
When asked at the time why he wanted a shooting license, Frank said, "I desire to go hunting."
Oh, I bet they didn't ask him what he was going to hunt, did they?
Yeah, no. He purchased a rifle on lay-by.
Lay-by, so he could pay it off weekly with his pocket money.
Yeah, I think other countries call it layaway or something like that. Yeah, anyway.
Oh, I'm just going to pay $2 on the gun today, and then I'll pay some more later.
Anyway, next month, 8th of October, Frank broods over the results of a Church of Scientology personality test given to him.
Oh, this is the last thing he needs.
The results of the test showed that he had hit rock bottom.
Oh, and he needed some Scientology to, bump him up.
The person administering the test was a bit shocked by how nuts he was, but did not advise him to see a psychiatrist, but to enroll in a Scientology course.
You know, even Charles Manson thinks that Scientology is insane. That's really saying something.
Yeah, they're going to start following us around now, aren't they? Filming us.
Oh my God.
If we smack talk Scientology. Which I think is,
do the people that follow you around and film you bring you snacks and coffees? Because that could be helpful.
That would be nice.
Yeah. I would be okay with that.
I like snacks.
Yeah, and I like coffee.
16th October 1987, he writes in his diary, "It makes me sad when I see all the young pretty girls out there, and I'm stuck at home without a hope in hell of picking one up. I don't have the guts to even ask one the time. I want to make love badly sometimes. I'm so lonely.
He wants to do it badly.
I want to make love
poorly.
Badly sometimes.
Really bad sex. I want to have bad sex with all the ladies.
All the pretty girls. I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely."
Oh, was he a dog? I'm so lonely.
I'm so lonely. I just want to hug someone, but I know it won't happen.
Oh, Frankie, no friends.
Frankie, no friends. The old Frank died years ago. The result is a walking time bomb, which must go off. The strangest thing is that society manufactures these human time bombs. It is so shocked when they go off. Today, somewhere, a future human time bomb is being manufactured by society.
Well, he's not wrong about that, is he?
No. Okay, on the 21st of October 1987, he picks up his gun that was on lay-by.
Oh, I finally paid it off.
It took him about a month or so.
Oh, well, he must have had a decent pocket money
I
sort
can't
of stream.
find out how much it was, but he was a student, so he would have had to get...
Some Oz study, maybe.
He got Oz study and probably some, some...
Was he a barista?
Money from his folks. No, it doesn't say anything about him working part-time.
Well, I know he wasn't a professional tennis player.
Well, we know that,
Not with that knee.
On the same day, he writes... I get so angry, I just want to destroy. The world is full of vicious, cruel people. Why do they hate me? Why does the world hate me? I went to the shops today. I bought a new pair of socks. I said to the girl...
Write that in your journal.
I know. I said to the girl politely that the weather was a bit better today. She looked at me like I was diarrhea.
Oh, not just shit, but diarrhea.
Don't talk to me about the weather. I'm just
trying to sell you some socks, you dick.
Exactly.
Actually, some of that before the socks just reads like when I was 13 and writing in my diary. Everybody hates me and everything's sad.
2 days later, he wrote this. I was angry after a party when an old acquaintance told me straight to my face that he hated my guts.
Ooh.
I think it might have been Con, actually. I would have killed the guy, but it was a party with people everywhere. Otherwise, I would have ripped him apart with my bare hands. He hates me. They all hate me. I hate them, each and every fucking one of them. Every dog has his day, and mine is soon.
Ooh. Again, kind of sounds like my 13-year-old journal entries, but I am not on this show about murder, so I'm guessing it escalates a little more than just listening to too much Hothouse Flowers.
26th of October. He writes, people are just so cruel to each other. It just astounds me. Like Con McGarlis, for example.
That was his tennis partner, right?
Yeah. He always made fun of my bad leg.
That's not nice.
No. Hey, bad leg.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to be my tennis partner again? Whoops, you can't. Your knee's fucked.
He is the scum of the earth. He must pay. He will die.
Ooh.
I realise that he was the person who has destroyed me. There should not be people like that on this world. They have no right to live. God is on my side.
Oh.
Don't worry, God. I will punish these evil, vicious, cruel scum people.
Scum people.
I will destroy the evil. My job will be done. My mission will be complete.
Wow.
11th of November.
See, we're getting a little into, maybe insanity
into his mind.
here.
Yeah. I could kill all those guys even now without blinking an eye. 14th of November. All the friends I've had so far have hurt my feelings in the end, so I decided to protect myself by hanging around with no one but myself. It is the safest way to live life for people like me. If someone gave me lip now, I'd crack and kill them. All the crap they've heaped on me, I'm going to shove it right down their throats.
Con better watch out.
Yeah. 6th of December. It's just when the bad side of me gets out, I lose control. I don't know what I'm going to do. I get so angry, my heart thumps. I sweat. I feel like ripping people apart.
Well, we've all been there.
Okay, 8th of December. Remember Frank's on the tram?
Oh, we're back to where we were?
Yeah.
And he's got his cigs and his glasses and his gun.
Yeah.
And his binoculars.
And he forgot to pack a snack.
He didn't bring a snack. God.
Frank gets off the tram at Melbourne University Union House and walks up to the counter to speak to the head receptionist. It's her name's Mary Cook. In the past, he's gone to Ms. Cook for various problems, and this afternoon she asked him if something's wrong because he was looking sad.
Oh, well, at least she's nice to him.
Yeah. Yes, I have failed 3 subjects. I have deferred, Frank said. Frank then grabbed Mrs. Cook's hand and said, You were always a lovely lady to me, but I hate your assistant.
Ooh.
As he turned to walk away, Miss Cook said, Oh, you poor fellow.
Wow, why did he hate his assistant?
So maybe if the assistant was there, she might have seen what was in his bag.
Oh, I'm really glad she didn't, because she sounds like a very nice woman.
Yeah. Yeah, a week earlier he'd had an argument with that assistant.
What about?
It doesn't say.
Did they not appreciate his comment about the weather improving enough?
Yeah, she probably thought he was diarrhea. Frank left Melbourne Uni, got back on the tram, and he went to Queen Street in Melbourne, arriving at the 18-storey Australia Post building around 4 p.m.
Hang on, is he? So he's not a postal worker, but he's
No.
about to go postal
It's
at a postal workers' centre.
Well, it's not like a post office. It's more like for pencil
Sorting
pushers and
Okay.
yeah,
But still, I mean,
public servants.
postal public servants. But he isn't one.
How did you know what was going to happen? 9 people would die in the next 17
Very
minutes.
psychic. 9 people, shit.
Okay, this is, yeah. Frank calmly proceeds to the 5th floor of the Telecom Employees Credit Co-op, where his former friend, Con
works here.
Con McGallis,
Oh.
it works. Con is called to the counter and briefly speaks with Frank, who then pulls,
Oh, hey, shitty knee.
Hey, shitty knee.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, and then he pulls his weapon from his bag. It misfires. Con ducks behind the counter.
Oh.
Frank fiddles with the gun and begins firing, killing Judith Morris, young female office worker, instantly.
Oh, well, she didn't have any part to play in this.
A robbery alarm was activated by a staff member. Con legs it and makes his escape and hides in the women's dunnies. That's the toilets.
Dummies.
He was after Con and Judy was in the way, a witness later says.
Aw.
He described Frank. His eyes of being those of someone completely insane and his laugh as sick and not human, adding that he laughed after shooting Judith.
Oh, this would be so terrifying. I've often worked places and felt like there would probably be a shooting spree there and wondered what I would do.
Ugh, yeah, you got to think of these things, don't you?
Yeah, it's really, really scary.
Frank took the elevator to the 12th floor to the Australia Post security section. There, Frank shoots and injures a man and a woman. He then points his gun at a woman sitting at a desk, only to pan his aim to the left and shoot Julie McBean and Nancy Avigno dead.
Is he mostly shooting women?
He runs into the corner office on that level and shoots Warren Spencer in the face. He is killed.
Ooh.
Frank then runs down the stairs to level 11, firing indiscriminately. He storms into the computer training centre, shooting Michael Maguire at point-blank range, killing him. He then moves to the northeast corner of the office floor, cornering several office workers at their desk. Mary Ann Van Eyck, Catherine Dowling, and Rodney Brown were fatally shot in that area, some while hiding under their desks.
Oh, so like shooting fish in a barrel. Shit.
Yeah. 3 other workers were wounded there. Several victims were shot in the head at very close range as they attempted to hide. Now here's where it gets interesting.
Oh, it wasn't interesting before?
Donald McElroy, who had already been shot twice, and Tony Goya tackled Frank.
Oh, yes.
While Frank Carmody, another Frank, who had been shot several times, wrestled the rifle from him.
Oh, good Frank. We'll go good Frank and bad Frank.
A wounded female worker, Rosemary Spiteri, took the rifle and hid it in a refrigerator.
Why the refrigerator?
And by the way, there's a photo of this. There's a 6-pack of Fosters next to it.
Oh, we'll have to put that on our Facebook
You've definitely got to
group.
put that up.
Yeah.
Frank then wriggled out of their grasp
No.
to an open window, apparently trying to climb onto an external ledge of the building. Tony Goya holds him by the ankles, trying to prevent his escape. Frank kicks Tony in the head to get free, but stumbles and falls 11 stories to the pavement below.
Ah, splat.
Street pizza.
Street pizza. Yuck, I don't want any of your street pizza for a snack.
So that's a horrifying 17 minutes, isn't it?
Oh my God, yeah. Do you remember in Bowling for Columbine how it shows the footage of those guys who shot up the high school when they're in the library? That was one of the things that just really terrified the shit out of me.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, God.
A search of Frank's room, his bedroom, after the killings revealed that Frank had kept press clippings from the Hoddle Street massacre.
Oh, because...
Which only happened a few months beforehand, actually.
Okay, because when things like this happen, that's why they sometimes don't report on them so much, because it actually makes it far more likely for another person to imitate it. Because it gives them permission in a way to act on the thoughts they've been having. It's also why the papers and things don't report on suicides, because people feel a similar way about that too.
Yeah, it normalises it.
Again, it makes them more likely to act on the thoughts that they might be having.
He'd underlined a lot of the lines in red in these press clippings.
Oh, wow.
Police believed he'd always intended to shoot people in the Queen Street building.
Well, yeah, he had lots of ammunition, didn't he?
Another detective said a number of disturbing items were found in Frank's bedroom.
Oh, but like a Tickle Me Elmo? Elf on a shelf?
And his home immediately after the killings. They included a poster for the Silent Madness film, which is about a paranoid psychotic who committed multiple murders.
Yeah.
Photographs of the film character John Rambo with the words Rambo rules.
That's just any guy back then, particularly a teenager.
And Rambo Power scored on them in Frank's handwriting. He's 22. Come on, get over it. He had various gun parts and ammunition and the names of addresses of numerous gun shops. In his backyard, he had an incinerator in his backyard. Well, we used to burn stuff off in the 80s, but it's illegal now.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
I better stop doing it.
Did you grow up with an incinerator in your backyard?
No, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and we weren't really allowed to burn stuff because there would be bushfires and stuff.
Anyway, he chucked all his pornography in there.
Oh, that's like deleting your browser history.
Yeah,
like
so he decided that
yeah,
but it actually didn't all burn.
Oh, okay, so they could still see some like barely legal.
Yeah.
Oh, when we were kids, my brother actually had a really cool T-shirt. It was black and it had like almost like an iron-on transfer of Rambo on it.
Cool.
I know, like that would still be cool now. What did I get? And I chose this, so it's my own damn fault. I had a white, ill-fitting sweater that had Don Johnson on it because I was a big fan of Miami Vice.
That's pretty sweet.
I wish I still had my Don Johnson sweater. Well, not really. I would prefer my brother's Rambo T-shirt.
Yeah, no, that'd be just like cool.
it was like it really let's just say it added many pounds because it was a lumpy white Don Johnson sweater. Oh, no wonder I was a virgin for so long.
Right now.
Yeah, me too.
A detective now retired from the Victoria Police found a diary in his room, but because they had no search warrant, he stole it.
Oh, is this where you're getting all your cool stuff from?
Yeah, this is the diary. He said he threw the diary and other documents out of the bedroom window in a couple of bags while another detective distracted Frank's family. Probably threw some children.
Throwing some children on the floor.
Yeah. When we later left the house, I went around the side of the house and retrieved the bags, he said. It is a form of stealing, but we took evidence and we believe we were doing the right thing. We just took it.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty illegal, isn't it?
The detectives later told an inquest what they had done, and they said that while they were shocked and surprised, they understood that the difficult circumstances in which the decision had been made, and they took no action over it.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't get into trouble over that. When the family found out later that we had taken the material, they rang us up and said they wanted everything brought back.
We want those burnt pornos and we want them now.
I don't think they took those.
Right, okay. Well, you said everything.
We said, no, you're not having them back. We took the diary in the interest of justice.
Oh, the Justice Diaries.
Wow, maybe Batman took them.
Yeah, he might have. He's keeping Gotham safe with those journals.
More on this inquest that happened months later. Con testified that he and Frank had been friends for several years. Con said that after Frank arrived to see him on the 8th of December, he pulled out his rifle, tried to pull the trigger, and then aimed it at a female colleague and told her not to move. Knowing that Frank could not move quickly due to his bad knee,
He's still giving him shit about that.
I know. Con jumped over the counter and hid in the women's toilets on the 5th floor. Con said he expected that Frank would come after him, leaving the others in the office safe.
Okay, but that's not a good place to choose if someone's going to come after you.
Con sounds a bit cowardly on the surface, but I don't know.
Oh, well,
you had to be there.
You know what? What is it that they say if you're in that situation? It is run, hide, or fight. Like, in that order, depending on what your options are. So running and hiding, if it's an option, that's what you do.
Apparently he was very guilty because he lost a lot of colleagues that day.
Oh, God, yeah.
Some of them he was very close to.
And the fact that the old Frankie was really mad at him in particular, I guess, would make you feel like that was somehow your fault.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
Tony Goya. Remember Tony Goya?
No.
He told the inquest he tackled Frank.
Oh, he's that cool guy.
Having just witnessed a co-worker being shot at point-blank range. Tony Goya believed he would be the next victim once Frank turned around and saw him.
That's the fight bit.
Yeah. His diary also included apologies to his family for his planned actions. Earlier entries catalogued his sexual problems. Frank linked those to an incident when he was 8 years old and was forced to undress in a school locker room, and his friends made fun of his uncircumcised cock.
The way you just said cock was really resounding in my headphones.
Good.
Thank you.
After this, nudity was a dirty word for me. Since the age of 12, I knew that normal sex was not possible for me, and I avoided
just
girls
bad sex only.
until I was 19.
Oh, until he was 19, then what happened?
I don't know.
Ah, damn it.
I'm pretty sure he died a virgin, actually.
Until he was 19. Yeah, look, who knows?
Oh, you're going to love this, Tara.
Yeah?
In another entry he wrote, I am the odd man out, there's no doubting it. And less than a month before the shooting, he wrote, as Rambo said in First Blood, once you accept a problem, it's no longer there.
Oh, wow. Life advice from Rambo. Sometimes
so your
it goes
mutant
well.
penis is no longer there because you accept it?
Oh, just because it's uncircumcised doesn't mean it's mutant.
No. What do we call those in Australia? Slouch hats.
Slouch hats? I don't know. I've never heard of that.
And German helmets, the other one. I don't know. Look, I don't know.
Wow. You and your penis knowledge.
Well, I'm a boy.
That's true. No wonder so many people think you're gay.
Okay, forensic psychologist Dr. Alan Bartholomew told the coroner's court that Frank would have been eligible at the time to be certified insane under the Mental Health Act.
If he wasn't so flatty-splatty.
After studying Frank's diaries, he concluded he was a paranoid schizophrenic, and there was no doubt that the Scientology personality test worsened his depression.
Fuck yeah.
And might have contributed to the decline in his mental state.
Wow, thanks, Scientology. If you're going to follow us, bring us snacks.
That many more did not die can probably be put down to the defect in his semi-automatic M1 carbine, which prevented it being rapidly fired.
Lucky.
A fully operational one can fire a full magazine of 30 bullets in a matter of seconds by simply cocking it and pressing the trigger after each bullet is fired. Each cartridge in Frank's defective weapon had to be loaded manually. He had difficulty even doing that. Many witnesses spoke of him constantly fiddling with the weapon as he strolled casually around the building, but he did manage to discharge his gun 41 times, although he had to eject many more that failed to fire. He was carrying more than 200 rounds.
Oh, far out.
Many potential victims fled while Frank struggled to make the gun work.
Oh, thank God. That's actually, he said he was going to act on God's behalf. If there is a God, I'm sure that was God's behalf. This bit with it not working.
Frank had either carried spare clothing to conceal the weapon in the bag or intended on changing into clothing to alter his appearance afterwards to aid escape.
Or maybe he just wanted to be sassy and show everyone a nice new outfit killing them.
Damn, I forgot my fake beard. The presence of binoculars in the bag suggests Frank envisaged some sort of siege situation developing.
Oh, I just thought he might want to go for bird watching after.
I'm just going to read the victims' names.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Judith Ann Morris, she was 19. Julie Faye McBean, 20. Nancy Avigno, 18. Warren David Spencer, 29. Michael Francis Maguire, 38. Marianne Jacoba Van Eyck, 38. Catherine Mary Dowling, 28. Rodney Jared Brown, 32. I think they need to be read out.
Yeah. They're mostly women, aren't they?
Oh, there's a few guys in there.
Yeah, but they are mostly women. I wonder
they are.
with his whole issue with sex and stuff, if it was kind of maybe somewhat focusing on shooting
women can't run as fast as men too.
Well, it depends on the woman. I mean, fucking Kathy Freeman could outrun the shit out of you, buddy.
Sorry, I was just trying to get a rise out of you. And it worked.
Hey!
Now let's I just want to end on our heroes, Tony Goya and Frank Carmody. They were awarded the Star of Courage for their bravery.
Good, Frank.
And also Clara Chalkley and Donald McElroy, they received commendations for bravery.
Yeah, good on them. God knows how long he would have kept going unless they'd stopped him. Like, that's some really, really clever, brave work.
I think it's really interesting that we have his diary and we can just sort of get into his mind. And
Yeah, that's amazing.
But we've all known people like this. I mean, there's a big leap from being a person like that then to actually killing people.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of diary stuff in, I think it was episode 2, where I did Catherine Reed Robinson, who killed Rachel Barber. She was writing actually she was writing more dark stuff about herself, but that feeling of alienation and, breaking point, essentially.
And by the way, listeners, if you are feeling like that, contact your local mental health care service. Ring Lifeline or...
There's we don't know all the places in every area, but there are places in
Well, just
every
call
area.
a friend and say, look, I'm having a bit of a hard time. You want to come out for a coffee?
I've had to do that with you. Barney, talk me down. Talk me down, Barney.
Absolutely.
Talk me down. My mum just gave me a living autopsy and I need someone to talk me down.
Absolutely.
She's normally awesome. That was just a bad day. Wow, that's amazing. Because I have heard of the Queen Street Massacre here in Melbourne, but I didn't really know anything about it. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, there's unfortunately there's more of these spree killers happening.
There are a lot, but luckily in Australia, because of the change in the gun laws after Martin Bryant and the Port Arthur massacre, you can't just go and buy a gun here.
Yeah, well, the Port Arthur massacre was really the last straw for Australia because we had the Hoddle Street thing and then the Queen Street thing. And absolutely. Government
here just went, you know what, fuck that shit. Let's not be that country. So that was a good thing. Should I go into the Aussie Az?
Yeah, it's time for an Aussie Az.
Yeah, do we want to be slightly less bummed out?
Sure.
Before we finish? All right. So cannabis. That's a good word. I like that word. Cannabis is the most widely used illicit drug in Australia.
420, bro.
Bro. With a reported 1/3 of all Australian aged 22 or older having tried cannabis and 1 million using it in the past year. It's estimated that 750,000 Australians use cannabis every week and approximately 30,000 smoke it on a daily basis.
Brekkie bongs.
Yeah, brekkie bongs, mate. So Aussies heart weed forever. In 2006, the sleeping residents of suburban Adelaide were rudely awakened by the resounding blast of a massive explosion. A huge smoking hole was found in the neighbour's backyard.
You're a huge smoking hole.
Well, sometimes, and sometimes I'm not. And it reeked of the pungent odour of burnt marijuana.
Well, that's...
Come on.
Yeah,
Come
that's...
on.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, there you go. There's a freebie. Upon investigation, police found the exploded remains of a man at the bottom of the hole.
An exploded remains of a man?
At the bottom of the hole. I'm surprised you aren't somehow tying this back into me, but I'm just going to do that myself.
Tara Saraban, it's just too easy. Can you make it harder for me?
I can throw heavy things at your head. So they learned that the deceased man had set up a hidden hydroponic system in a large water tank buried in his backyard. He used a CO2 generator, and it has a small flame from a butane gas bottle to improve even the plant growth. On this particular evening, the man had climbed down into his pot-growing paradise only to find that the flame had gone out. Possibly high on his own supply, and without knowing how long the gas had been leaking into his makeshift greenhouse, he relit the flame. Can you imagine? Like, all that weed got wrecked. Oh, and a guy died.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Aussies.
That's really sad to lose so much weed.
So much weed just got exploded. I hope the neighbours were just inhaling deeply.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the Aussie Az.
That's pretty good.
It's kind of funny.
Pretty good.
Still a bit sad about the weed, but, there's other weed out there.
Yeah, well, it does grow on trees.
Actually, yeah, unlike most things people want, cannabis grows on trees. So, that's probably pretty much us for the week, isn't it?
I think so. Nice work, Tara.
Oh, I'm going to pat you on the back. Nice work,
And
Barney.
thanks for listening to another episode of Bloody Murder.
Please don't forget to review us on iTunes.
And, of course, rate and subscribe. It really does help us.
And feel free to join our Facebook group, Bloody Murder Podcast.
And follow us on Twitter. We have a Twitter, don't we? What's that called?
It's called Bloody Murder Pod.
All right.
So thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.
Goodbye and adios.
Keep kicking against the pricks.
Oh, yeah.
They had the intercom on in the room, and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997.